to the Caribbean Gateway, the Windrush 70, supported by the Heritage Lottery Fund. Today we have with us Avril Nanton from Avril Walks and Talks. I'd like to welcome you here today.
Thank you, Cindy. Nice to speak to you.
So, you are a lady that's done numerous things throughout your life. And so I'm going to start. Where were you born?
I was born in Dominica,
Okay.
not Dominican Republic, because a lot of people don't realise there's two, but I was born in Dominica.
Did you come over with your parents? Or did
No. I was one of those people that came by myself by BOAC.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
how old were you?
7.
Oh, so how did that work? I didn't understand. What's
I think essentially they have someone to look after you on the plane.
Okay.
So even though you're by yourself,
Yeah.
there's lots of the air hostesses look after you, and until you actually meet up again with your parents.
Oh, so your parents were already here?
Yeah, my mother was already here.
Okay. So did you have brothers and sisters already here?
My brother Jeff, who's the second oldest, had come in 64.
So, but there's again, that's quite interesting because I was thinking. So when you were in Dominica, did you feel like, oh well, they get to go first, I don't get to go first? Was there any of that?
To be honest, Cindy, I can't remember much about Dominica as a child. I have no real memories at all. My memories were actually formed when I was here.
Okay.
So the only thing I remember of coming to England is how cold it was.
That hasn't changed.
Yeah, and that's really all I can really remember about the actual journey and the arrivals. But other than that, Dominica is kind of a blur as a child.
Okay.
I don't really remember it.
So have you been back?
I've been back 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
Last time was in 2013 when I brought my husband for the first time over there, and he loved it. And we met up with lots of family and people hadn't seen for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you arrived here, you're 7. Were your parents waiting when you got here?
My mother was here. My father never came to this country until the 80s. But my mother was here. She was waiting for me at the airport. And obviously at 7 years old, I was taken home by her, with my brother as well, who I hadn't seen for a long time,
So how did that feel? So what was your schooling like, and what was your first impression of England?
Oh, God, first impression. I can't remember my first impression. I remember it being cold, but I do remember going to school. I had an accent at school, so the kids used to make fun of me. And I realised pretty quickly that the first thing I had to do was get rid of it.
Oh, wow.
Because it was stopping me from making friends, it was stopping me from getting on with people, and I don't know how I got rid of it, but somehow I managed to work on my accent and it disappeared.
So was that including the teachers as well as the children?
No, I don't remember the teachers, I just remember the children. I remember one time in class, the teacher said, what's the biggest country in the world? Now, my father had always told me that Dominica was the biggest country in the world.
Of course.
And of course, as a child, I believed him. So when the teacher asked the question, what's the biggest country in the world, I quickly put my hand up and she said yes, and I said, Dominica. And they all went, where?
Oh my gosh.
And I thought, what do they mean, where? If it's the biggest country in the world, they must know.
About it.
Yeah. And of course, that became a teasing thing, ever since.
So how did you get from that to Avril's Walks and Talks? What's happened in between?
Oh, gosh.
You're going to have to fill that out.
Right, okay. One day I went down to National Archives because I was listening to a guy called Stephen Bourne giving a talk. And I met this girl. She's absolutely fabulous, Angela. And she and I got to talk. And I was saying how much I love London and how much whenever we have people come over, friends, family, whatever, I take them everywhere. And we point out places and we talk about this place and I tell them about that. And she said, well, why don't you become a tour guide? And I said, you know what, I was thinking about that, but I don't think I could do it. And she goes, yes, you can. And with her encouragement, I was able to get onto a university course.
Okay.
I didn't even know universities did tour guiding courses. And basically from that, I learned to be a tour guide.
Okay, so when did that start? And you
I
do that now?
started the course in 2015.
Okay.
It finished in 2016.
Okay.
I passed. The area that I'd applied originally for the Westminster tour guiding course, but the Westminster one gets really full up, as you can imagine. Everybody wants to do Westminster. I didn't get on that one, but I did get on the Clerkenwell and Islington Guiding Association course, which covered Islington, Clerkenwell and Islington. And as I was brought up in Islington, I found it fascinating anyway, and absolutely loved it. And then basically, I learnt a lot. I was one of 2 black people on the course, but all my parts of the walk, I would try to orientate it towards the black aspect, you know.
So really, there had not been, I mean, I know there has been things before, so, but are you doing it from a black female perspective, or what is your kind of unique take on these things?
I just do it from a black perspective.
Okay.
The only reason I'm unique is because I'm female.
Okay.
You know, a black female. There aren't many black female tour guides.
Yes.
The lady that I spoke to, that I met, who encouraged me to be a tour guide, is a tour guide, and in fact, she's one of the top tour guides because she's a blue badge, which is like, if you want to be a tour guide, you be a blue badge. I'm not a blue badge, but I didn't want to, no, I didn't want to be a blue badge because A, it's very difficult, it's a very long course, and it's very expensive.
Okay.
But for me, it was more a case of just being a tour guide, because there aren't many tour guides, as I say, who are black and female, and I just wanted to know what it was I didn't know, which is why I went on the course. I didn't go on the course to progress to a next course and the next course and the next course. I just wanted to do that course to find out what it was that I didn't know. So I did the course, found out what it was I didn't know. Now I know it. I don't need to do any more courses. As far as I'm concerned, I just want to get out there and do it.
So that's what you do now?
That's what I do now. So I set up Avril's Walks and Talks last year.
So after you did your training, so how did you, from that course, that made it more unique to what you were trying to do in your walks? So Avril's Walks and Talks, how did that?
That came about because actually before I'd actually done the course, I'd started doing a few tours just to try them out to see if I could actually do them. Once I'd finished the course, I knew I'd had the training, I could do it. The thing was to find a name for the company, go legal or legit, and set it all up. It all took a bit of time, but in that time I was still doing walks, and the first walk I ever did, I put together, was something called Black Statues around Westminster. And Black Statues really came about because I was querying, where are the black statues that represent us? And from that query came a presentation which I actually put together called Black Statues Around London.
Okay.
And from that presentation came Black Statues Around Westminster. And so I did that first. That was my very first walk, and I did that for months on end because it was the only walk I had.
But how did that feel like when you were going around? Because the thing is, you do have quite a big personality already from all the networking you've done over the years. And I'm presuming, I always think that's a really good thing, because you don't want people just going, here is a statue, here is a statue. So you know.
What's good is I had the training, because the training teaches you a lot of things, as I say, you didn't know. So it wasn't just a case, here's a statue. A lot of research goes into doing a walk, a lot. You don't just go out there and do a walk.
Yeah.
So what you have to do is you have to spend a lot of time. You can either go to the archives, or you can actually go on the internet, or you can contact people who know something about the particular subject. So there's lots of ways of doing research.
Yeah.
Then you have to go and do the walk itself to see how long it takes.
Yes.
Where do you have to go? You know, and so I did all that, and that was my very first walk.
So how long would you say the research from?
Months.
Yeah.
Seriously, months.
So you left the course?
Yeah.
And then you...
But I already had the research done for the first walk. So when I left the course, it was easy to do the first walk. But it was the second walk that became a problem.
Okay,
yeah.
What was that called?
The second walk, actually, I say it was a problem, it wasn't, because it was part of my course. But because we covered Islington, I then decided that for my exam I was going to do a black walk of Islington. Now, they'd never had that before in the exam at the university. It was very unique, and they were quite impressed with what I put together.
And you're already a North Londoner.
Yeah, so because I knew Islington as well, I put that walk together from the doing it at the course. I then put it together, so I then had two walks. I had the black statues around Westminster and the black statues around Islington.
Okay.
Then came the third walk, which was I had a conversation with someone, and I was saying, I'm looking to do another walk, but I've got to find an area that's of interest. And someone said, what about Tottenham? And I said, I don't really know where to start. And I had a conversation with people in the library, and I was very, very lucky to talk to somebody who knew somebody who'd written a book, and I was able to get a copy of that book, and I used that book to put forward the information for the Tottenham Walk. And it was really, really helpful because there were lots of things in that book that nobody knew about.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So when I do my walks now on Tottenham, people are very surprised at what I tell them about, because they always think it's going to be just about Tottenham riots and Mark Duggan, etc. You know, and it's not. It's about all aspects of Tottenham.
So each of the walks that you've done, how long do they last, and when do you do them?
All the walks last 2 hours. I do the walks only in the summer because black people don't come out in the winter. You know, they complain and moan it's cold. So between about March, April to October, it's my busy time.
Yes.
Now it's quietened down. I will be doing a lot of research for next 2018 and putting together new ideas, new information. You know, you have to go out on these walks. You don't just put them together and then don't walk them, because you may find when you walk them, it's totally different.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So that's what I love doing, you know.
Fantastic.
Doing all the research and doing the walk and finding out what there is to do.
So can I ask, so because this obviously the project is about the Windrush 70, and obviously I feel that you are definitely from that generation in the sense of you've been influenced by that, and it's obviously your parents have been influenced by that. Yeah. So when you do your walks, is the Windrush part of what you're discussing? Is that a part of it, would you say? Because
it comes up in some of the walks,
yeah.
Because some of the things that I do, I take people around London and I show them black statues, which is the Westminster aspect, and that shows them various things. But I also do Tottenham, which again has Walter Tull, which is part of the 1914-1918 war memorial stuff, and I do incorporate as much Windrush as possible, as particular with things like housing. You know, when people came to this country in the 1940s and 50s in particular, what they came across, what they faced, transport. You know, we talk about all these things on different parts of the walk, cover different aspects. So no one walk will cover all aspects,
of course,
but each walk will cover some aspects. So you get, you know, what happened in the 70s in one walk. Say, for example, the Islington walk, we talk about the Cascadee Centre,
yes,
one of the first centres that was set up to help black youngsters. We talk about, in the Tottenham walk, we talk about Cynthia Jarrett, we talk about what happened in the riots, we talk about Bernie Grant. In the Tottenham walk, in the Westminster walk, we talk about the black person on the statue in Nelson's column in the middle of London.
yes.
We talk about the abolitionists. You know, we talk about each aspect of black life.
Wonderful. Well, can I just say thank you so much for discussing all of the things that you do. And if people want to get in touch with you, how would they get in touch with you? Because I know you're the constant networker.
If people want to get in touch with me, I have a website. It's www.avrilswalksandtalks.co.uk. I also have an email, which is info@avrilswalksandtalks.co.uk. Facebook, which is @avrilswalksandtalks.
Wonderful.
I'm also on Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat.
Well, thank you so much for being here today. I've really, really enjoyed it, and I hope you have too.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And we're going to hand back to Lavina now.